Episode 1: The New Girl. Alice stood in front of the huge Blackwood High School building. It looked beautiful, but a little frightening. Great. New city, new school, and I don't know anyone, she muttered. In history class, Alice met Max, Emma, and Leo. They were friendly and quickly welcomed her into their group. After school, Alice was walking through the hallway when she noticed something strange. The clock showed 3:33 p.m. At that moment, several students stopped and silently looked toward the old wing of the school. A few seconds later, they disappeared. Alice froze in shock. "Did you see that?" she asked her friends. But Max, Emma, and Leo acted as if nothing unusual had happened. The next day, the same thing happened again. At 3:33 p.m., the students disappeared and returned 5 minutes later as if nothing had happened. "What is going on here?" she whispered. That evening, she received a text message from an unknown number. "Don't look for answers, or you'll regret it." Alice felt a chill run down her spine. The secret door. The next day, Alice showed the mysterious message to her friends. "Someone is trying to scare you," Max said. "Or hide a secret," Emma added. After school, the group decided to explore the old wing of Blackwood High. It had been closed for years, and teachers always warned students to stay away from it. Quietly, they slipped inside. The hallways were dark and covered with dust. Suddenly, Leo noticed a strange symbol on the wall. A circle with a clock inside it. "I've seen this symbol before," he whispered. "It's on some old school photographs." The friends continued walking until they discovered a wooden door hidden behind a large bookshelf. "This door isn't on any school map," Max said in surprise. Alice slowly reached for the handle. The door creaked open. Behind it was a narrow staircase leading deep underground. Taking a deep breath, they began to descend. At the bottom, they found a large room, but old photographs of students covered the walls, and in the center stood a giant clock. But the strangest thing was still ahead. On one of the photographs, Alice saw herself. The picture looked decades old. "That's impossible," she whispered. At that moment, the giant clock struck once. The lights went out. From the darkness, a voice suddenly spoke. "You were never supposed to find this place." To be continued. The room was completely dark. "Who's there?" Alice asked with a trembling voice. No one answered. A few seconds later, the old lights slowly turned on one by one. The friends found themselves in a huge circular room. In the center stood a giant clock whose hands were moving on their own. Suddenly, an elderly man wearing a long black coat stepped out of the shadows. "Welcome to the room of time," he said calmly. "Who are you?" Max asked. "My name is Mr. Gray. I am the guardian of this school." Mr. Gray explained that a hidden chamber had existed beneath the school for many years. It had the power to reveal the past and the future. Every day at exactly 3:33 p.m., the clock opened a passage through time. "So that's why the students disappear?" Emma asked. "Yes," Mr. Gray replied. "But they return a few minutes later and remember nothing." Suddenly, the giant clock began to tick loudly. Tick, tock, tick, tock. A new message appeared on the clock face. "The next guardian has already arrived." Everyone turned to look at Alice. "No, that can't be," she whispered. At that moment, the floor beneath her feet began to glow. To be continued. The floor beneath Alice's feet began to glow with a bright blue light. Before she could move, a transparent circle surrounded her. "What's happening?" Max shouted. Mr. Gray's face suddenly turned pale. "No, the clock has made its choice." A beam of light shot upward and Alice disappeared. "Alice," her friends cried. A second later, Alice opened her eyes, but she was no longer in the present. The school hallways looked brand new, and the students were wearing uniforms that had gone out of style decades ago. "Where am I?" she whispered. A girl about her age walked toward her. "Are you the new student?" she smiled. "My name is Sophia." "What year is it?" Alice asked carefully. Sophia looked confused. "It's 1986. Alice's heart skipped a beat. Meanwhile, Max, Emma, and Leo searched desperately for a way to bring her back. Mr. Gray opened an ancient book. "We only have 24 hours. If Alice doesn't return before the clock strikes 3:33 p.m., she will remain in the past forever." At that moment, Alice noticed the familiar clock symbol on a wall. Beneath it, someone had recently written 3 words. "Don't trust Gray." Alice froze. Who wrote that? To be continued. Alice couldn't take her eyes off the words. "Don't trust Gray." Who wrote this? She asked quietly. Sophia shook her head. "I don't know. But strange things happen in this school. The teachers pretend that nothing is wrong." Suddenly the school bell rang by itself. The students walked to class, and Sophia whispered, "Meet me in the library after school." Meanwhile, in the present, Max, Emma, and Leo were studying Mr. Gray's old book. Leo found a faded photograph hidden between the pages. It showed students from 1986, and among them was Alice. "That can't be," Max whispered. That evening, Alice met Sophia in the old library. Sophia opened a secret door hidden behind a bookshelf. Inside was a small room filled with dozens of old diaries. These were written by students who also traveled through time, Sophia explained. Alice opened one of the diaries. On the last page she read, "If you are reading this, the clock has chosen you. Trust no one, even those who want to help you. One of the guardians is a traitor." Suddenly, bang! The secret room door slammed shut. Someone had locked them inside. Slow footsteps echoed from the other side of the door. To be continued, the footsteps came closer. Alice and Sophia stared silently at the door. The handle slowly turned. The door opened. A tall man wearing a black coat stood in the doorway. "You've learned too much," he said coldly. Sophia turned pale. "It's the second guardian." The man smiled. "My name is Mr. Black, and I will not let you change history." He pulled out an old pocket watch. Its hands began spinning faster and faster. Suddenly, the room started shaking. Lord disappeared beneath Alice and Sophia. A second later, they found themselves in another time. A massive fire surrounded them. Blackwood School was burning. "What's happening?" Alice shouted. Sophia looked at the building in horror. "This is the day the school almost disappeared." Meanwhile, in the present, Max, Emma, and Leo finally discovered a hidden mechanism inside the giant clock. Leo noticed a small key. "I think if we turn it, we can open the time portal." But Mr. Gray stopped him. "Wait. If you do it the wrong way, time itself could break." At that moment, the giant clock began ringing on its own. A new message appeared on its face. 60 minutes until the time rift. The friends looked at each other. They knew they were running out of time. To be continued. The fire had spread through almost the entire school. Burning beams crashed from the ceiling, and frightened students were screaming everywhere. "We have to get out of here," Alice shouted. Sophia grabbed her hand and pulled her down a long hallway. Suddenly, Mr. Black appeared in front of them. "You still don't understand," he said. "If you change this day, the future will disappear. But people will die," Alice replied. "Sometimes the past cannot be saved." At that moment, the ceiling began to collapse. Alice noticed a little boy trapped inside a classroom. Without thinking, she ran toward him. "Alice, stop!" Sophia shouted. Alice broke the door open, grabbed the boy, and escaped just seconds before the ceiling crashed down. Suddenly, everything froze. The fire stopped moving. The smoke hung motionless in the air. A giant glowing clock appeared. A mysterious voice echoed, "The test is complete. You chose courage over fear." A bright light surrounded Alice. Meanwhile, in the present, Max turned the hidden key inside the giant clock. A loud rumble shook the entire school. A glowing portal opened in the center of the room. "It's open!" Leo shouted. But something else emerged from the portal. A tall figure in a black cloak slowly stepped out. No one could see its face. The stranger spoke only one sentence. "Time always demands a price." The portal began to grow, swallowing the room. To be continued. The portal kept growing. Cracks spread across the walls of the room of time, and the giant clock began ticking faster and faster. The mysterious figure in the black cloak slowly lowered the hood. It was Future Max. "No, that's impossible," Leo whispered. Future Max looked at his friends. "I tried to save Alice. Every time I changed the past, time punished me. Now there is only one way to stop the time rift." At that moment, the portal flashed, and Alice and Sophia returned to the present. "Max!" Alice shouted. Then she noticed the second Max. "What is happening?" Future Max stepped forward. "Years from now, I made a terrible mistake. I changed the past, and time began to collapse. If we don't stop the clock now, every timeline will disappear." Suddenly, Mr. Black pulled a glowing crystal from the clock's mechanism. The entire room shook. "It's too late," he shouted. "No one can stop time now." The giant clock split apart. A blinding light burst from inside. The floor vanished beneath everyone's feet. They found themselves in an endless white space. A massive door appeared before them. Written on it were the words, "Only one may unlock the final secret." Alice slowly walked toward the door. The moment she touched the handle, a voice echoed from behind it. I have been waiting for you for a very long time. To be continued, Alice slowly opened the massive door. Behind it was neither a room nor a hallway, only an endless sky filled with stars. In the center stood a giant hourglass as tall as a 3-story building. Instead of sand, thousands of glowing lights flowed inside it. A stranger dressed in a white cloak appeared. "Welcome to the heart of time," he said. "Who are you?" Alice asked. "I am the first guardian. This is where the story of Blackwood began." He raised his hand and scenes from the past appeared around him. Alice saw that more than 100 years earlier, an ancient hourglass had been discovered beneath the school. It could open paths through time, but every journey came with a price. "So that's why people disappear?" Alice asked. "Yes. Every time someone uses the hourglass, it takes a piece of their time." At that moment, Max, Emma, Leo, Sophia, Mr. Gray, and even future Max appeared. The first guardian looked at them. "One final choice remains." 2 doors appeared before the group. The first one read, "Seal the hourglass forever." The second read, "Keep the power of time." "If you seal the hourglass," the guardian said, "time travel will disappear forever. But everyone trapped in the wrong time will return home. And if we keep it," Leo asked, "then the magic will remain, but the time rift may return." Everyone looked at Alice. The final decision was hers. To be continued. Episode 10. The Last Strike of the Clock. Season Finale. Silence filled the room. Everyone looked at Alice. She took a deep breath and walked toward the door marked, "Seal the hourglass forever." "If the power of time remains," she said quietly, "someone will try to change the past again. I don't want that to happen." The first guardian nodded. "You made your choice for others, not for yourself." Alice opened the door. Inside was a giant clock mechanism. Its gears turned slowly, filling the room with golden light. The first guardian handed Alice an ancient key. "Turn it only once." Alice inserted the key into the lock. Click. The whole room began to shake. The giant hourglass crumbled into golden dust. One by one, the time portals closed. Future Max smiled. "So, my future has changed." He slowly disappeared into the light. Sophia also began to fade away. "Thank you, Alice. Now I can finally return to my own time." A moment later, she was gone. Blackwood School became an ordinary school again. The room of time vanished as if it had never existed. The next day, students quietly attended their classes. No one disappeared at 3:33 p.m. anymore. Max, Emma, Leo, and Alice met in the schoolyard. "Is it finally over?" Max asked. Alice smiled. "I think so." But as she walked past an old tree, she noticed a small pocket watch lying on the ground. It suddenly made one quiet sound. Tick! Alice picked it up and looked into the distance. End of Season 1.